It is the Fantasy Golf Degenerates podcast, bringing you a recap of the Masters, a preview of the RBC Heritage, and as always, we are brought to you by ProphetX, the best alternative to a sports book. Use code FG Degenerates for 2% back up to $300. Kendo Kim, what's cooking, my dog?
What a weekend. One of the best weekends I've seen of golf in my life. I think the last time I've seen something like that was probably 2019 with Tiger. Just enthralling drama, like everything that you could ask for. Great golf, horrible golf, dumb mistakes, amazing shots, like everything that you want in a major or the Masters on Sunday and Saturday. It happened. It was amazing. I still am sort of hungover. Like I didn't even drink yesterday, and I just feel like off all day because of what we saw and how much. Like I sat on my couch for like 8, 9, 10 hours straight, didn't move, and I was literally exhausted by the last putt in that playoff when Rory made it. Pretty incredible stuff. It was incredible. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yeah, it was such good golf, Kenny. I live bet Rosie the morning of Sunday because I've been speaking about him the whole time. I didn't have a ticket on him, my dumbass. So I was like, you know what? 65-1, I'll just get in. You know, you never know. Like if he freaking lands up winning this thing somehow. I did not give a shit about the $600 I had on the line. Like Rory to win. And personally, I'm not even like that big of a Rory fan. You know, I haven't been like invested in him as a person over the course of his career as much as I was a fan of the sport this weekend. You know, like just witnessing history, dude. This is a once in a lifetime achievement. I don't think there's a couple guys we can chat about later, like who have pursuits of the Slam. There's one or two, Phil Mickelson, Spieth, just one shy of the Slam themselves. Whether or not they ever get there, we don't know. You know, neither of them has really shown us that they want to win those Slams. And Phil's like 53 now. Spieth's playing all over the golf course. This could be a once in a lifetime situation that we will never see again before we die. And we'll be watching the rest from heaven or hell, wherever that may be, Kenny. So, lots and lots of fun.
7, right? 7 ever. So, I mean, like once 6. A generation, basically.
He is the 6th guy to finish, to knock out all 4 there. It's been Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods, Walter Hagen, Ben Hogan, and Gary Player. I'm lying to you. Those are guys that have 9+ wins. Because I was curious, Kenny, we start off right with this one. What amount of wins in majors replaces a Grand Slam? So a Grand Slam you can get like Rory's got in 5 major wins. Some guys took a little more than that. How many major wins without getting all 4 do you think is the same amount as a Grand Slam?
It has to be a lot. I mean, if you look at it in tennis, right, there's one guy, Pete Sampras, was one of the best that's ever played, never won a French, right? But he's still considered 3rd greatest, top 5 greatest player ever, right? So I think the quantity definitely is more important. But the Grand Slam is an amazing accomplishment. Don't get me wrong. Now, if Rory doesn't win anymore, has 5, gets the Grand Slam, I don't think he's in that discussion, of those greats. He has to win a couple of more. I think it comes down to how many you win. Because, yes, winning 4 is in each major is extremely difficult. We've seen it. It's very, very hard. But, like, what everyone goes looking at this year is how many majors have you won? Now, if you go, like, again, tennis. Agassi won the Grand Slam, right? It's Agassi and Sampras. Those are the 2 guys that came together. And I think everyone really realizes that Sampras was better, right? I mean, everyone has Sampras above Andre when it comes to tennis. And I think that's the same way you could think of it when it comes to golf. If you get, even with the Grand Slam, if a guy has 9 majors and you got 5, the 9's going to get the rep. The 9's going to get the rep. That's just the way it is. Now, how many you need? I mean, maybe you got to be in like the top 5. No, how many you need? I don't know. But I think you need if you have 7 or 8, you're better than you're better than Rory. I think even if I say if you're just like at 5 or 6, you're probably right there with them. But once you get to like 7, 8, 9 and above, that is when you take the step above, even without the Grand Slam.
So the guys I rattled off, Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods, Ben Hogan, Gary Player, they've all won 9+ majors, and they also have won the Slam, so those are GOATs. Yeah. Walter Hagen has won 11 majors. those are the 5 guys that have won 9+. So if you think about the 5 that Rory joined, now there's 6. The next person to win 9 would be the 6th guy in that realm. If you understand what I'm saying there.
So that 9?
No, I'm not saying that. Well, we can chat about that next, but the next person to get to 9 without a slam, I would imagine you can classify them as the same kind of accomplishment, because Rafael Nadal, he has won so many Frenchies, but like
he's
won other ones as well, but his total count is largely due to the French. He's just adding pretty much every single year, like Scotty kind of thing, to a lesser degree at Augusta. So Scotty, does he have to win 9 Augusta green jackets to be classified as these guys if those are the only majors he wins? Or, I think 9's the magic number, because that gets you in the secret 6 kind of thing, the super 6 boys up top there.
Yeah, I don't see anyone ever getting 9. Not in this day and age.
That's the thing.
Think about it. Here's the problem. What Rory just done in his career in the last, 15 years, he's been beating everyone, and it's the best competition the PGA Tour has ever had. Like, if you look back, I think Andy Lack said this. If you look back at the 90s, even when Tiger played, guys are still like puffing mad cigarettes and drinking beer on the fucking course. You know what I'm saying? Like, these guys nowadays have like trainers, they have focus, they have groups, they have staffs who like train them for specific aspects of everything of their life, right? I mean, that's not something that happened 20 years ago, right? It's what Tiger brought on. And this is the way it's going to be from now on. And what we've seen is an expansive growth in the talent of the golf pool across the world. And it makes it so much more difficult to become a Tiger, to become a Jack, to become someone like that. I think it's virtually impossible. I think it's one of the reasons why the ratings might have been going down as well. Because you're not going to have this unbelievable, amazing type player go hog wild. And that's what really brings in people, what really brings in the casuals. Because of the way golf is nowadays and how it's 24/7, you got staff, you got people working for you. It's not just you and your caddy. It's like 10 other guys, your nutritionist, your chef, your exercise guy, your weight training guy, your mental guy, your analytics guy. Every great player has these things now, right? And so that's why it makes it so much more difficult to get to 9. If you think about it from a generation per generation aspect, the 5 that Rory has right now, I mean, Sarazen, come on, right? I mean, even Jack, 16, that's a lot, right? I mean, 18, that's a lot. So, maybe not Jack, but like an Arnie. How many is Arnie have? Like 7?
Yeah, not 9. That's for sure.
Arnie has 9. Okay,
not 9. Less than 9.
For those guys pre-Tiger, it's hard to, judge because they're not playing together. But in my opinion, what Rory's done has been more difficult. Yeah, in this modern era for sure. And to kind of stem off of that, I want to give Justin Rose some props, because this kind of just goes to show, like, kind of backs up your point there, Kenny. Justin Rose had he won this week, would have been the 7th oldest guy to win a major. Now, Phil Mickelson won it at the PGA at 50. Any guy before that, the last time it happened was 1990. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the last time that person won as the oldest guy to win a major. So it just goes to prove your point that old guys are not doing that stuff routinely. The top 10 oldest dudes outside of Phil was in 1990. That was the last time an old dude won a major. So putting Rosie in that bucket, now he goes ahead of, I think, Lee Trevino the next time he plays in the next major. He was like behind him by 5 days this week. So he's going to be the 6th oldest dude to win a major if he does take care of that business at the Open Championship. It's got to be tough. He had these 2 chances at the British and the Masters. It's going to be extremely hard for him to come back. I hope he does it. Because you think about what Rose went through. He got offered to go to live, and all his boys went. Like, all his boys bounced.
Ian,
all his boys bounced, right? All his Ryder Cup buddies, all his European guys, Westy, they all left. He stayed, and I think he stayed because, he thought he had a little bit of game left. The other guys, they knew that their game was done, probably. They didn't have much of a chance anymore. Why not take the bag? And I understand that. That's fine. But for Rose, he really thought he had something left. And Fooch, he talked about it, his caddy, during the broadcast, people ask him, like, why is he still caddying? Like, Fuchs is old as fuck. Like, old. Right? And he's like, why are you still caddying? Fuchs says, I think Rose has a major in him. I want to be on the bag when that happens. And I really hope it does. Because the story, as you saw him on Live, was pretty incredible. But kudos to Rose to go out there and do what he did, a birdie on 18. Let's talk about the actual play, because Sunday was let's start on Saturday. Saturday started off with that bomb from with Rory going out there hitting like 400 yards off the tee, going crazy,
jacked through the roof,
and then Bryson making that birdie. Those first few holes were insane. Saturday was amazing, but Sunday, Rory goes, doubles the first, comes back. It almost felt like that double sort of took a little bit of pressure off, like
that's what he said.
I start with a double every round. And I'm like, fuck it, let's just go on.
You know
what I'm saying? Basically, right? And that's what he made it. What happened with Rory? He made that double. He's like, fuck. Well, I'm just gonna go off. And he played uber aggressive, 4 birdies on his next 9 holes. Right? Yeah. He gets to 11. And that's when stuff sort of starts getting a little haywire. He has that shot that he hits. He shouldn't have been close to the water at all. He should have aimed way farther right. The ball careens down that slope, misses by 6 inches. At that point in time, I'm like, okay, guys need luck like this to win an event, right? They need luck like this to win an event. And so, he ends up bogeying that whole pars the next, gets to 13, and decides to take the pedal off the metal. Decides to take a conservative route, and he had not been conservative basically the whole round, which I don't know. It's weird because we've been talking about how he wants to play like Scotty, and his misses weren't horrible, right? But I think he hit like 3 fairways or something like that. Not many fairways, but he was going after, and he was still making the birdies. He was playing to the strength of his game, and it worked. And then once he took the pedal off the metal on 13 and laid up, and then I don't know what happened on that pitch, made double there, right? It happened again, basically. He was like, fuck it, I got to go aggressive again. And it clicked again for him. That shot on 15 was one of the greatest shots we'll ever see in Masters history.
Insane.
With the shot tracer, the way it looked, the way it lined up, the way it kept going.
The tree in the way.
Yeah, it was sick. It was one of the sickest shots I've ever seen. He should have laid up, really, right? I mean, he's tied for the lead at that point with 3 other guys. He probably should have laid that up. So it was a weird way to go about his win, because like the whole time we've been talking about how he's been smarter, how he's been playing these majors a little bit more nuanced, more course management, and he just goes out there and just fucking blasts it, right? And that's how he wins, which is amazing. It's just what it should have done. But I mean, that's not even over. On 15, he misses the eagle putt, right? 17. Well, again, one of the best shots in Masters history. Insane. Again, on 17, with him walking it off, which was sick. He hits it, just walks straight and just talks to the ball. Like he knows that she's like, go. Just a little bit more. A little bit more. That ball lifted. It got to 3 feet. He finally makes the birdie. And then in the background, Rose out here doing some crazy shit, making a 40-foot fucking bomb on 18 to tie it, which was sick. And then we get to 18. And he blaze it into that bunker on that approach. His wedges would have been good for the majority of the time, really fell off once the pressure was on. The one thing that didn't fall off was actually like his drive. He might not have been in the middle of the fairway, but it's still pounding at 330 out there, and these fairways are wide enough where you can miss left or right a little bit. He was missing a bunch right at the end. And then he gets to 18, and he blows that putt. And at that point in time, you're thinking, this is going to be the biggest choke job in the history of golf again for Rory, right? I mean, that's what's going on in your mind. And you know what's going on in Rory's mind at that time. Of course it is. He's human. And then he goes out there, and then Rose hits a dart. Unlucky a little bit that he didn't get that much.
That did not roll down that hill.
Yeah, I mean, it's not rolling back down the hill was super unlucky because it landed about 4 feet in front of that pin. I mean, it was spot on. Gives a 12-foot of a birdie, which is great. And Rory hits that amazing shot, again, with a wedge which has been his bugaboo, and he goes out there and gets it done. The mental fortitude at that point in time was pretty impressive because he could have easily collapsed. He could have easily shanked that again. It could have easily been over. And so to do what he did, both those guys were incredible. The viewing was amazing. Oberg was up there, right? The crazy thing is Patrick Reed double bogeys, 3 putts, I think on
putts,
16,
13,
right? On one of the holes on the back
13.
He's
I had Reed. I'm very aware what he was
doing. 3 putts from 4 feet. 3 putts. He makes that 4-footer. He's in the playoff, right?
Yeah,
he's in the playoff.
Now, does he hole out for eagle from the fairway on 17 if he makes that? You never know. But at the same time, Jesus Christ, Patrick, like complete meltdown. But that was just the most bizarre stuff, Kenny. Like I was busy speaking about Patrick completely jacking up that 3-putt before I could send off the post. Rory dunked it in the water. He did the wedge that people do on hole 12, on hole 12. He did it on 13. Like, everyone like flares out a wedge to the right in the water on 12. He laid up and did it on 13. He's like, I did that hole already. I needed hit in the water, like all the champs have done in the past. So incredible there. And then Harry Diamond gave him some seriously good advice after he missed that putt. Rory quoted him and said, Harry said to me, we would have given anything to be in this position on Monday. And it just totally reset. Like I'm just getting chills thinking about Harry. Everyone gives Harry a hard time. He's not the sharpest diamond in the jewelry store, but he helped him get across the line. Yeah. And Rory was just resilient. This has to be one of the greatest comeback stories really of our generation. Given what he's had to go through.
Well, the thing is, he should have won so many, right? Yeah. And so it's sort of like finally is basically what I feel like, that he finally got it. He deserved it. He's the best player in our generation. There's no doubt in my mind. And you go back 15 years and what he did at that Masters in 2011 when he was in the lead and finished in 15th place. I mean, that just started the whole demon, like bad juju at Augusta, and to break through, at 36 years old. Now, I got a question for you. A lot of people are thinking, this is going to open the floodgates, and I think that too. It's very, very possible. The way that he's been playing golf this year is similar to what where Scotty was last year. Both 2 wins and with the players and a major, both 3 strokes tee to green above the field for the year. The same with Scheffler and Rory for last year. And what you think is, this is a time for Rory to go and get a couple of more before his career winds down. And I think a lot of people are thinking that way, but I think it could also go the other way, because think about it. This is something that he's been in his head for over a decade now, right? He finally gets it done. He finally wins, and we all know that Rory's had some issues with his family, just like a lot of families have. With his, they filed for divorce. They got back together. Him and his wife. He's 36 years old. Him getting back with his wife really speaks to me how important family is for him, because he's Rory, right? If he didn't want to have this family, if he didn't want the girl anymore, if he didn't want to work it out, he could bounce and find somebody else quick as shit, right? But obviously he wants to put this work in and try and make this family thing work, right? I think that it's possible that, the monkey's off his back, the load's off his shoulder. He doesn't have to stress it no more. Maybe he takes a step back. Maybe he doesn't work quite as hard because he wants to focus more time on his personal life, which obviously is important for him because you've seen what's happened with him in the last couple of years. And not many people file for divorce and get back together. And there's only a couple of reasons why that would happen, and it's because a person values the family aspect of life. And that is something that I think we need to see. Could he go back out there and not work as hard? He's on the back half of his career. Could he spend more time with his daughter? Could he spend more time with his wife? Could he try and make that thing work out more? Because doing both is going to be extremely hard. It's going to be extremely hard. And I think that's part of the reason why maybe they have issues. I don't know. I'm guessing here completely, right? And talking about someone else's family like this it's weird, but it's a part of what we're thinking his future game could be, right? And so we sort of have to talk about it. And I think that it could go in that direction. He could be working. He could put as much effort as he did trying to get to where he is right now, where he is obviously the best golfer in the world once again, where he wasn't for the last 3 or 4 years, maybe even 5, 6 years, right? He's always been on that cusp, but he hasn't been like
dominant,
the number one guy, right? Since like he won all those majors, right? He's always been one of the top guys, but to be like the number one who's dominant like he has been this season, that takes work. That takes time. Like time away from other stuff that you probably want to do. So I think it could go either way. Personally, I would like to see Rory go off and go ham and take this with the load off his shoulders and go out there and become, win 2, 3 more throughout the rest of his career. That would be amazing. That's what I want to see. But I in the back of my head, I'm thinking it's not a swan song. Don't get me wrong, but if he values his family as I think he does, just looking from the outside in, I mean, now is the time to get to see if that works.
Sure.
Right? Not 10 years from now when Poppy's 15 years old and you've been miserable for a decade. You know what I'm saying? Work on it now, right? Try and get this family thing to work. And then maybe it does, and maybe he can come back again and, at 38, 39 and come back and do it. But these next couple of years are going to be pretty big. I'm really interested in to see how he goes about his process in golf in general. It's just something that I don't think many people are talking about.
No, and that's that's what people don't want to talk about right away. That's pessimistic. We're all living in this land of honey and beauty, and unicorns and rainbows, so to speak, with Rory and the Slam. What I do know is that he mentioned he had 3 career aspirations to end his career, to notch off before he ended his career. Obviously, win the Masters, win an away Ryder Cup, and to win a gold medal at the Olympics. So,
away Ryder Cup seems like it's going to happen this year.
Correct.
I think the numbers dropped to plus 130 for the Euros.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's going to keep him driven until then, at least. Maybe the Olympics will keep him driven for the next 3 or 4 years, because I think if he misses out on this Olympics coming up next, in like 3 years' time, he's going to be 40-something. He's going to be like Justin Rose-ish type situation, trying to win the next Olympics, in 2030 or whatever. So I think, he's got the next couple of years. But what I see, Kenny, and being a much more likely situation, is we see unbridled, unlocked Rory McIlroy. Because we've seen this with Justin Thomas, right? When he has that round 1 stinker and he can just go pedal to the metal. He's playing with house money now. He's one of the most talented dudes in the world. And one of the things that's kept him so restricted in the majors is this situation. Hasn't got the Slam, hasn't won a major in 11 years. Now he's done that. Now the expectations are 0. The pressure is gone. There's no more pressure. He could miss every major cut for the rest of his life, and everyone would be okay with that. He's now done. So
the pressure's gone. But does that mean that the lead up, the working to work through that pressure, does that mean that's gone too?
Potentially,
he's going to work as hard as he has been.
I wouldn't imagine, Kenny, but I would imagine that the difference between the lack of pressure and the lack of energy or effort put into the practicing would be on the lack of pressure side being omitted now. Now, I think he's just got the natural talent anyway to play well enough without that much work. He's done this forever, so
we'll see. I want him to win more, but I mean, I would not be surprised if he takes a step back, just for personal reasons.
Yeah, both are very possible.
And no one will know. Everyone will just think that, his game just isn't as good, but it could be something deeper.
Well, he's been very upfront about everything that's going on in his life. He's been so open book for the most part, right?
Get to the family part, you sort of clam up a little bit. He doesn't talk too much about that anymore.
Yeah, but when you file public records for a divorce, I mean, that's like not difficult to hide, right? So what's not difficult to hide, Kenny, is Bryson DeChambeau having the 51st best, aka like the 3rd worst approach play at the Masters and finishing 5th. So it's his first top 5 at the Masters.
Shit, I think that's wrong. Like, people forget how lost he was on this course for years.
Yes.
Like, he could not figure this course out. Obviously, he's worked hard. he's got his game to the point where, even when he's not playing his best, he's still in contention at Augusta National. That's not something that you saw 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. This Bryson that we see nowadays is different. He's coming in. I think he's had 4 top 6s in his last 5 majors, right? Is he the new Koepka? The guy who comes in, because you don't really hear about him too much in LIV. He doesn't do that much. Like top 10 here, top 5 there, top 20 here. It looks like he's just using LIV as a place to work on his game. And obviously he goes out there and works on his game more than anyone else out there. And kudos to him, because he's become a different golfer in the last 3 years than what he was prior. And this is, pretty incredible stuff from a guy who, literally said some of the stupidest shit ever at the Masters and looked like a fucking idiot, where he says, 67 is par at Augusta National, right? Everyone remembers that. And now he's grown, he's older, he's more mature. And I think he puts the work in more than anybody else. You saw it on the driving range. He get 1,000 balls on the range in 4 days. Right? He doesn't just do that for I'm sure he does a lot of stuff for the cameras. I'm not going to lie about that. Yeah. But I don't think that's a part of it. I think he really puts that work in even when he's at home alone doing it. And you could see it in his results, especially at, big time events like the majors. Really, really good to see from him. I think we're going to see what I would like to see is Rory Bryson repeatedly over and over again. That was round 2, right? The U.S. Open, Bryson got Rory. They weren't in the same pairing, but Rory saw what Bryson did. He was a hole behind on 18, with that bunker shot to win. And then, you have Rory taking Bryson yesterday, and Bryson even admitted, I wasn't playing good golf. And to be in contention with really a poor iron game, like missing by a club length, like repeatedly. Short game was so good. I mean, there used to be a time when people worried about his short game, and honestly, it's like one of the best like in the world.
I faded him because of the short game around Augusta. He led the field in stroke game around the green. That was like the most tilting part. Like if Bryson dominated this week, mashing drivers and hitting wedges when guys are hitting 5 irons, cool. I'm cool with that. That's his skill set. Tipping things in out of bunkers at Augusta National is not what Bryson DeChambeau does.
So good.
Okay?
Yeah.
So he's incredible.
He was impressive. I think all 3 of those guys impressed me, and I look forward to seeing more majors with those guys. Scheffler, backdoor top 5, right? Not even playing well, just backdoor top 5. Xander going out there and getting me a place, thank God, with that 8th place finish. He looks like he's back. I love him this week at the Heritage, one of my favorite plays. I actually bet on him as well. And so, I mean, you get these 5 guys, a couple other heads. Hovland's looking like he's playing well. I mean, we're getting back to some fun shit coming up with these golfers.
That Oberg meltdown on 17 and 18. He gets jumpy. I mean, he's won the Genesis Invitational and looked calm as shit doing it. But man, when anytime he got in the lead, he kind of ejected a bit and then caught up again and then ejected. And then when he could tangibly see himself winning the green jacket, he's gained 11 or 10 and a half strokes putting at Augusta in 8 rounds. 8 last year, 4 this year. To 3, like when you're that good on the greens, to 3-putt on hole 17 from a very makeable range, given how good he is on the greens, to 3-putt it there badly. The first putt was nervy. And then to leave it in the lip on the approach shot on 18 out of the fairway bunker there, and then chip yourself out of total contention. But hey,
here's the thing about those situations. Like, is there anybody good in those situations nowadays? Like Tiger used to be. We're spoiled. We grew up watching Tiger. Tiger made every single one of those putts. Is there any other golfer that does that?
I would say Scotty, when he's like feeling it, maybe not in the majors. He hasn't really contended hard in the other majors. But when he's been locked in at Augusta.
Yeah, but that's because he usually has a big lead. He's not draining like nervy 8-footers on 18. Right? I mean, like he's usually won by then. Like there's anybody in golf good at that. I don't think
Justin Rose is probably the closest we get. because he has to. That's his skill set he has to rely on. And he was incredible. You know, like
there's in my eyes, there's no one that's good under pressure, like a major, that will drain every 5 to 8 footer in the lead. You know, and it happens consistently. It might happen one round.
Yeah,
it might happen once, and the guy goes out there and does his thing and really plays well on a Sunday and makes all the putts. But I don't see it happening every fucking week for these guys. I mean, it's hard to do that. And so I got no problem with Oberg the way he finished, other than the fact that I live bet him on Friday and I had him 30-1 with 3 places. And so he was in second place at that point in time. So, you know, that got lost. And, you know, Sung Jae, I had 4 places. He finished 5th. So that sucked. And then I had at least a Patrick Reed top 20 hit. And I got a little chop with Xander with the 8 places. And then somehow my cash lineup cashed with 4 golfers making the cut. I think 50% was 5 of 6 or better. So there's like no way I should have won. But I had like Morikawa, Reed, some other guys who finished in the top 10. Like I had 3 guys in the top 10, I think. And now with Reed finishing 3rd. And so that was enough for me to push it over the edge in cash. So like I thought, and the funny thing is I'm looking back at my records. I haven't hit an outright at the major since Patrick Reed.
Really?
Patrick Reed was the last one that I hit, I think 2018. So I think next year what I'm going to do is just do like the complete opposite of the guys I like. I've been so bad at it. So I think I might have to think about switching up when it comes to the Masters, because it's hilarious because I'm on like half a dozen shows and I just suck. Like every year I'm on like half a dozen shows going into the Masters, and it's been horrible. But
Kenny, I did the top 5 bet for Rory in round 1. The only time he played hole 15 like a dumbass was in round 1, and he chipped in the goddamn water. And then he plays that whole 5 under par for the next 3 rounds. You know, like that was just the total wrong side of that situation. But Patrick Reed, top 20, came in hardcore. I mean, I won 4 units. Another profitable week, Kenny. 3 straight weeks in a row now. We're cashing bets over on back 9 bets over. So
I won 10 units, but I bet 4, I think, something like that. Yeah. So I won 6 on that one, but it wasn't enough. I still lost for the week with a couple of units won with the Xander because I was overexposed. But
yeah. And I do just want to mention, as we get out of the top 10 and onto next things, Corey Connors is the only dude inside the top 10 T8. There's 11 guys that doesn't have a top 2 in a major.
He's played well.
You know, he was right in the mix. Wonderful stuff over Joachim Neiman as well, taking care of business for us there on the ProphetX side of things, which went quite nicely too. So again, Kenny, if you're ever in a slump, buddy, just bet against me, because you always kick my ass. Cam Smith did not show up. Brooks Koepka did not show up.
Canley did beat Cam Smith, but we couldn't get that on ProphetX this week. We did get the Neiman Connors, and he did win that one. Because you sort of forced me to pick Neiman because you had Connors, but I did. You did win that
one. So we'll call it a very unfair 1-1 there. Brooksy, it's washed, bro. Like, just don't got it right now.
He doesn't have it right now. I'm sure it'll come back at some point in time. It's Koepka. I mean, you know, he has to hate seeing Bryson and Rory up there doing his thing, or he just doesn't give a fuck anymore, which would be horrible.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's the case. You know, there's all these rumors and stuff about him wanting to get out of there. I mean, it's hard. Live guys can't do it. They can go out there. We see Bryson and Hatton had a decent round. Reed, you know, but you see Hatton and Reed going out and playing, you know, Asian Tour events, European Tour events. You see Bryson hitting 10,000 balls a day, right? Are these other guys doing that too? I don't know. Probably not, but I don't know. And so at some point in time, you know, the guys like Koepka, Cam Smith, Rahm. I mean, he backdoored a top 20 after all, you know, barely making the cut on the number. He doesn't look great either. Now, but there are instances where live golfers are doing fine. So, I mean, it's really hard to judge what's going on with those guys. But, I mean, you know, the talent when it comes to it, because, I mean, Koepka's like, what, even par, top 20, and then he snowmanned 18. Like that's
he needed to make par on 18, and he snowmanned it.
Well, he was +1, I think, right? at that point in
Yeah,
time.
he needed to make bogey.
Yeah, he needed to make
Ultimately,
bogey,
but
I think. Yeah.
to guarantee himself in, he needed to make par. Snowman, complete snowman. Do you see my Ulster skit there? That one did some serious numbers. It was awesome on the Model Maniac X account over there. Speaking about doing numbers, Wyndham Clark, the US Open champion, continues to only have one top 30 in majors, and that was his US Open win. Does not show up at the majors whatsoever. Wyndham Clark,
did people really expect that? I mean, it was out of the blue, right? I mean, he did win a couple of events, but it's not like Wyndham Clark is like everyone
he's
thought
a
he was
big
like,
game hunter in the signature event side of things.
He had
That's
one
the thing.
signature win. He had one.
Well, he lost to Scotty at the Players. He lost to Scotty at the API. You know, like he's showing up. You know, he has not shown up in any major outside of the
guys. They have 1 to 2 years. They have 1 to 2 years to really get their games going and be the best. And it's probably past this time. I mean, unless you're Homa. Look at Homa. That whole thing with Homa and the caddy was weird because Homa, I think there's something else. I mean, I don't know, but I mean, like to depart from your caddy the week before the Masters, and then your caddy going to another top 10 player in the world immediately. Sort of weird. I don't know the whole story there.
Seems like there was a back conversation going on.
It worked out for fucking Max. I mean, like, how the fuck do you go out there and find your game? And it's not like he's like Bubba or Zach Johnson who've won this event before. Sure, he played what he had, like a decent finish last year, right? That was like a runner-up last year, right? Or
T3.
Okay, T3 last year. That was his best finish ever, right? I mean, it's not like he played this course hundreds of times, dozens of times like the other guys, like Bubba, like Zach Johnson, who games seemed like they came out of nowhere. Pretty impressive, I thought.
And he's got three top 12s in the last 13 months. 2 of them came at Augusta. Yeah. And then the next one is at Wells Fargo, which is where the PGA Championship gets played.
See how he plays for the next couple of events. We'll see this week.
Yeah. But his numbers, he's been missing cut after cut after cut, and his Wells Fargo number has the PGA hasn't shifted north of 80. So, that number's not going to get better. It's probably just going to get worse if he does play a bit better. But at the same time, he's playing like complete ass. Is 1 week enough to justify that? Anyway, Kenny, let's chat about some course preview. ProphetX. ProphetX, baby. Yeah. So like we mentioned, me and Kenny had a friendly wager between Joaquin Niemann and Corey Connors last week. I was popping out overs, unders for all the different golfers every single round at ProphetX. It's a fun place over there. It's peer-to-peer, so you are going against other people that are putting their funds in over there as well, and you can get even money numbers on both sides for these different plays. So the only person that gets juiced is the winner of the play, and they get 2% taken by ProphetX over there, which is much better than 10 and 15% that you get whacked at other sportsbooks. So it's a fun situation, and we're only going to improve there. They've got all the other different sports over at ProphetX. Use code FG Degenerates to get yourself 2% back up to $300.
So the cool thing about ProphetX, what you can do is when they have matchup bets, they have over-unders during the week, right? So what I've been doing lately is looking at these matchup bets, and it'll have the number. Let's say Niemann and Connors, right? What we were talking about last week, it was like plus 120, minus 114, or something like that. Or minus 104 is what I got.
Yeah.
Okay. Now it was at minus 14 plus 120. And so what I did is I requested a new number. So I requested minus 105 or minus 103 for Niemann. You can go ahead and ask the book. Be like, I'd rather have this number. And so what happens is someone needs to match that number on the other side. And then if they do, you get that number. So you're basically creating your own odds. Now, I don't think it works that way for the outrights because they have like a third-party guy who does the outrights for them. But for matchups and for over-unders, you can get really solid numbers out there. And like what I was doing was I was putting in a number I'd like. And then, if it didn't get matched, what they have in your plays, like if you look at all the plays that you made, it says go to best number available. And so, 2 minutes before tee off, if no one matches the number you got and you still want to make that play, right? You just hit that You just hit that button and you get that pick matched, right? To that best number that's there. So it's really, really cool. It's something that people should try and use because, you know, you always want to get the best number possible. I don't tend to go that way when it comes to outrights all the time, but for matchups, when the margins are plus 120, minus 120, something like that, you really need to look at the different numbers that you get on different books. And, you know, honestly, the best ones that you can get are going to be on ProphetX. Because you're going to be able to put your own number in. And, you know, a lot of the times it does get matched. I mean, you can't go crazy, right? You know, you can't go insane one way or the other on a number. But, I mean, if you're close and you want a couple of more points, you can get it. You can get it on ProphetX. So make sure you go to ProphetX, use it. You put that money in the account, get 2% back, up to $300. Use promo code FG Degenerates. We're just going to get cooler and cooler stuff going on as the year goes. You'll see it on my X account. You'll see it on Byron's X account. You know, a bunch of plays throughout the whole week that we're going to do every week for ProphetX. So get on it. And then, you know, if I get some crazy number, you're going to be able to match it. You know, and it'll be like, go out there, because once it's matched once, it stays matched. I'm pretty sure. So
as long as there's enough funding.
There's enough liquidity. So if it gets to the number that you want, you know, or I want, I'm like, yo, everyone, it's on a great number. Get on this, put your money in. So make sure you follow me and Byron on X at KendoVT at the Model Maniac, and make sure you go to ProphetX and put that money in that account.
Yeah. And the more of you that sign up, the better the numbers, because there's just more liquidity. So it's just going to have to be a big old ProphetX orgy, if you're asking me that. You know, let's all get in there. Let's have some fun. You know, Kenny's a big fan of that kind of stuff. So also, you can tell the video production of this particular show has taken a slight ding. Our producer has been locked up, so he's not with us this week. Him and his wife are vacationing. He's having a good time. Mike is having a great time on vacation, a well-deserved vacation. So we appreciate Mike's work every other week. Please, if there's some connection issues, if there's some yucky stuff going on, we appreciate you guys' patience. It's going to be completely back to normal next week. We're using a different stream this week. One
thing I didn't realize, ProphetX already has a bunch of numbers up for RBC. Maybe next week we're going to have to actually look into these. I figured that they wouldn't have them up the week after the Masters, but they have the outrights. They have top 5s with ties, top 10s with ties, top 20s with ties, first round leader with ties. Those are all up right now, and you can request numbers that you want. So let's take a peek over at another book and see if we can't get see, even the other books don't have the top 5s or the top 10s up yet. So you know, maybe what we're gonna do is, you know, you look over at it, and I was like, there we go, you got it up. So all those are up right now in ProphetX, and you can go ahead and hit that request button right there, get a number you want, see if it gets matched. It's really, really cool. Make sure you go to ProphetX and put that money down.
I will put out there a oops. Jesus Christ, I can't type. All right. These are the odds. That's what I want to do. Okay, there we go. Minus there. And then I like Scotty Scheffler for a top 5 this week. So we'll just do minus 125 over there, which means you'll get plus 125 on the other side. Go ahead and grab that. You just got to find the no side. If you don't think Scotty Scheffler's going to finish inside the top 5, that's already out there for you guys. So I appreciate all of you doing all of that stuff. Let's get along to, of course, preview this week. Kenny, what we got going on at H-Town.
All right, so let me find my round there. So, you know, pretty historic Masters last week, right? But now we get down to the RBC Heritage. Weird that they have a signature event the week after. Like, I could literally take this week off. I did not want to do the show. But we do the show because we do the show, right? But it is sort of funny that they put this the week after the Masters. I guess they're trying to, you know, get that momentum and grab on the fans who normally wouldn't probably watch again. And another big name tournament with the same guys who played last week, minus the live guys, you know, makes it a big deal. So, you know, we're here. The Pete Dye Design track at Harbour Town Golf Links in South Carolina has a classic old school feel to it. You know, basically the exact opposite of what we saw last week. Strategy and placement being much more important than power and strength. and there has been a time change in this event. This used to be in 2 months earlier in June. Now it is in April. That started, I think 4 years ago when they made the change. So if you look at the course history prior to 4 years, similar. It's going to be the same, but I mean, the grass is different. The wind is different. Definitely a little bit different 4 years ago. It might have even been 5. I'll have to double check. The greens and fairways are usually watered daily, making them softer. Back then, when it was in June, then when the event was in April, this led to more driver being pulled off the tee than you normally see. Now you see a lot more. It's always been a less than driver course, but it's even more so now. I think with the weather change, with the time change. Now, course history normally a big part of this event. You continually see the same names on the leaderboard year in and year out, and the reason for that is because these golfers know the ins and outs of these tricky, target golf layout. You don't really see too many courses like this anymore, and they have made some adjustments. I mean, I remember when I first started, I think this course is under 7,000 yards. I think they've definitely jacked it up a little bit to 7,250 to make it longer, but it's still par 71. It's still a shorter type course, and it is target golf. Pete Dye courses definitely a narrative when it comes to guys who've played well. When it comes to Sawgrass, Zurich Classic, the Amex. There's also some Copperhead similarities, but we know Copperhead is not your typical Florida course. It's almost like a Carolina type course. Guys who've done in North Carolina tend to do well here. Xander, right? A couple of runner-ups at Wells Fargo played well at the Valspar at Copperhead, and he comes here. I think he's had a 4th and a 13th. I think his last couple of years or something like that. That Carolina course definitely something to take a peek about. Now, let's get to the main draw. Harbour Town, 7,250-yard par 71, 4 par 3s, 3 par 5s, 2 of which are reachable by almost everybody. Off the tee, golfers will have to deal with tight tree-lined fairways and thick woods, bunkers, and water being a problem for golfers who miss wildly off the tee. Of course, like I said, definition of target golf. If golfers hit on the wrong side of the fairway, they might have a block second shot because of all the overhanging trees that surround the fairway. On the other hand, if they missed the fairway but hit it on the correct side and not in the woods, they're going to have an easier approach shots than golfers who hit it on the fairway but on the wrong side. The fairways are tight, but over 66% of fairways have been hit during this tournament's past, which is above average on tour, meaning most golfers, of course, hit less than driver off the tee. A lot of the fairways get extremely narrow around the 300-yard range, thus preventing golfers from breaking out the big stick. Because of this, the average driving distance here is the shortest on tour at around 265 to 275. The rough normally isn't too thick, but missed fairways should make approach shots much tougher into these small greens. We did see, higher rough in the last couple of years than usual. I think they've done that because it's been a signature event. I'm not sure if we see the same this year, but, even 2.5 inches of rough is going to be a problem. Now, on approach shots, golfers are going to see some of the smallest greens on tour with slight undulation and an upside-down bowl configuration, which make approaches that land on the edge of the greens more likely to roll off, leaving golfers with tricky up and downs for par. The greens usually play on the slower side of the stick meter rating around 11, and the grass is Tiff Eagle Bermuda overseeded with Poa Trivialis. We've seen a bunch. Now, do you know the 2 most winners on Bermuda in this event, Byron?
I want to say Sam Burns.
No. Number 1's easy. Just don't overthink it.
Scotty Scheffler.
Don't overthink it. Scheffler has 9 wins on Bermuda. Number 2, Justin Thomas, which I'm a big fan of. This week, I said next time we get to high teens, early 20s as the winning score, I think he's got a chance. And I think he's going to be super low owned. Almost was my hustle play of the week, but I was like, should I do a 10K hustle play of the week? I don't know, but I do think he's going to be one of the 2 lowest owned in the 10K range. But I'm jumping ahead of myself. I apologize. Let's get to the rest of this. Let's get to the rest of this. Another big bit of trouble golfers are going to face around the greens are overhanging trees. A couple of holes actually have trees right in front of the green on both sides, making it almost look like a field goal post. So on these holes, if the golfer misses a little left or a little right, the trees are going to knock the ball down and leave tough chip shots in the small greens. Only 57% of greens are hit at Harbour Town. Even with light winds, these greens will still be missed. Scrambling, super important part. I think, for the last few years, we've seen the top finishers all be in the very high end of scrambling numbers, because you're going to miss greens no matter, even if you're the best iron player here. Now, with the wind picking up maybe on the weekend, you're going to need a little bit more, because the weather does look great on Thursday and Friday. Right now, it looks like prime scoring conditions. You'll see like 63s, 64s, I think, on those first 2 days. But Saturday and Sunday looks like 20, 25 mile per hour gusts. Even par would be a good score. So it should be a fun event. I wish it wasn't the week after the Masters, but we're here. What are you looking for in golfers this week?
Yeah, I'm looking for guys playing well. I'm looking for guys that hit their long irons well, Kenny, because what do you use off these tees if you're not smashing driver? You know, you're hitting 250 yards plus is a good metric, you know, to kind of figure out, okay, do these guys have good accuracy off the tee when hitting an iron or a 3-wood or a hybrid on these shorter positional holes? So it kind of double dips in there, and then just tons of approach shots from 125 to 200, and then the course history. This course it's niggly, Kenny. I know you love that word, so I'll say that because it's so nuanced. You know, like if you're showing up here the very first time and you kind of just gouging driver out there, you're not going to do great. And I know no professional's going to do that, but even when you are playing safely, there's so many nuances around this golf course that you have to take care of. And how do you know about that stuff? Either having a great caddy or having played here multiple times. So you've seen guys like Stuart Sink have great success here every time he shows up because he just knows how to play this golf course. You know, like Scotty Scheffler knows how to play Augusta when he doesn't have his A game, or Harbour Town when he doesn't have his A game. We'll chat about that. So I think it's pretty simple this week. Again, you know, when the course history is pretty high to correlations to success, the blueprint is simple. You know, we just know what we need from everyone this week. The weather does make it interesting because it requires 2 different skill sets, right, as you're going through. So Showdown will be a lot of fun in the forthcoming week. All right, Kendo. Let's get ahead to my sweat bets before we get into our bets for the week. I'll pull up a little Microsoft Power BI for the Model Maniac Patreon. Use code, what is this, RBC 50, and I'll get you 50% off right off the bat. No, just use code FGD50. Got FGD50 code for you guys every single week. I appreciate y'all. Scooting back to the betting tool over here. I bet the Scotty Scheffler top 20 earlier because if you're taking a look at what Scotty Scheffler gets up to in his career, when he was playing his best golf, that top 5 was looking Gucci. Let me get this out of the way so that we have got...
And Byron, once again, the sweat bets, again, are going to be your favorite bets for the top 5 people in the odds.
Correct. So these are the top 5 odds on the odds board for this week's tournament, because if you're betting these guys, the chances are they're likely going to be flirting with the lead or flirting with a cash or something going on because they are just the top of the odds board. They're the best golfers in the field. So Scotty Scheffler at minus 125 is what you can grab him on at the market. If you add 2025 to his year right now, we are seeing some major top 20 dippage because he's been struggling a little bit, but he's been profitable in the top 5 market the last little while. I'm still updating some master stuff. The data's coming in slowly. But as you can see, Scotty's had a top 5 in 2 of his last 4, now 3 of his last 5 with the Masters. So he's been a profitable in that market for the most part. Once his game gets back together, he's inside the top 5 a lot more than you expect. Moving on to the next guy, we're going to go to Colin Morikawa, who's at 11-1 to win this tournament. If you're taking a look at Colin's numbers, ideally you want to be betting him top 20, but he's minus 270 for a top 20 this week. That's not going to cut it. Although, I mean, look at the top 20 numbers here. Top 20 at the Masters as well. So you're definitely going to be finding success from Colin in the top 20 market. You want to bet 27 to win 10, go ahead. But another bet that has been profitable for Colin over that period of time is the top 5 market. So he's plus 210 this week for a top 5. That's the route I would go if you were forced to bet a Colin Morikawa bet. It has been his more profitable one of the bunch, and you're not having to lay minus 270. Xander Schauffele, Kenny, guy that you fancy this week. We are waiting for him to show up in a big way. We're waiting for the short game to show up. We'll chat about that shortly. But he's been a top 10 juggernaut. And you can get Xander Schauffele at plus 110 for a top 10. I'll throw over at ProphetX. I'll put it out there at plus 100 for myself. If you want to fade me on the top 10 there, you can go ahead and get that no for a top 10 at plus 100. So that'll be a fun way to kind of have fun with us on the show. Yeah, as you can see, we've been struggling for some top 10s in the last little while, but he did cash that top 10 now for 5 straight majors. He's had a top 10, Kenny. That's unreal. And now 12 consecutive majors, he's had a top 20. So Xander Schauffele, top 10, even money at the RBC Heritage. I'm a fan. What has he got up to in the past? Well, his one showing in the last little while was not a top 10. So you're going to get a bit of course history over there. Next up on the board is Ludwig Iceberg, who melted down the stretch and took a Titanic dip over there. But at the RBC Heritage, he's had 2 of his top 10, top 20 bets cash, not so much the top 5. But if we remove the RBC Heritage filter, his top 5 market in the last 13 months has been his best market. If you take a look at what he's got up to, couple inconsistencies lately, but again, we showed some immaculate form at Augusta. Expect him to show up again. His top 5 market is plus 240 if you're looking to get involved there. And then my favorite bet probably of them all is Patrick Cantley. Will not be betting this idiot to win the golf tournament, but to bet him top 5 at this course makes a lot of sense. Last 13 months, his top 10 market has been profitable. It's the only market that he has had profit in over those 13 months. And then if you click RBC Heritage here, and I guess I had the filters on here for the years when I clicked RBC Heritage. So some guys might have even more. But in the last 4 years, Patrick Cantley has had 3 top 5s in his last 3 starts at RBC Heritage. So you're getting plus 300, plus 260, plus 400. Right now, Patrick Cantley sitting at plus 350. So some of the best odds he's had at this golf course heading into it. Playing okay golf. I think he shows up here and plays quite nicely. So I really fancy that top 5 market for old can play or can't win, whatever you want to say about that, man. Kenny, slap me with some sexy winners this week. Let's go.
So first bet for the week, it's going to be Xander, 18-1 with 3 places. You can get the 3 places on Bet365. I think that's the way I'm going to go because I think he wins. But top 3s, I think it can happen as well. And I'd like to win a little bit of money if he does finish there. So he's gained strokes in every major category last week, including short game. He was gone back-to-back weeks with his short game, gaining because it has been a little bit suspect here recently. But he did gain strokes in every single major category, and that's coming off his almost 12 strokes gained with his approaches at the Valspar. 18th and 4th here the last couple of years, great on Carolina courses. Like I said, Wells Fargo, Valspar, he's been good. I think he's back. I don't think you have to worry about the injury at all. And I think 18-1 with 3 places is value. I think his price 10,400 on DraftKings is super value. I really, really like Xander this week. Next, it's going to be Victor Hovland, 28-1 with 8 places. Watching him this week, and you could tell his confidence was back. Like no matter what he says afterwards, like he was like, I was a 6.5 today. But you could see, like, on the course, like, the way he was hitting the ball, the way he was reacting, the way he was looking at his shots, like, it seemed like the confidence was back. And I remember a couple of weeks ago when he won, the event, I didn't believe in him because of what he said, right? Now I've seen it multiple weeks in a row. I don't give a fuck what he says. Now, I've seen it multiple weeks in a row. The ball striking is there. He's hitting some incredible shots, right? Of course, his short game, again, another worry. But again, if you look at his numbers, hold on, let me pull them up here. In the last couple of events, including the Masters, he's only lost, he barely lost anything at the Masters. Basically, it was almost break even last week. One of the most difficult tracks to have a good short game at, right? And so a little bit different with the moan off edges and stuff like that. But I do like the way he's been striking the ball. He's been getting a bunch of birdies. He's really good with from 175 to 200. You're going to see a fair amount of approach shots coming from that distance. So I do like Victor Hovland, 28-1. Next, I'm going to go Daniel Berger, 35-1. Gain strokes tee to green in every event this season. Had a 3rd and 13th here in his career. His short game has been excellent. We've been sort of eyeballing a win for him here, in the last 6 months or so, ever since the fall swing. And I think this might be the week where he gets it done. So I got him at 35-1 at 8 places. And then I got one bomb. It's going to be my Hustler Play of the Week. So I'm going to save that for later. And we'll talk about that when we get to the DFS part.
You little tease, Kenny. You little tease. But always a fan of the Hustler Play of the day. As always, this segment is brought to you by Kickback Golf. Use code FGD15 for 15% off at kickbackgolf.com for some badass swag. All right, so my bets, outrights, and I'm still looking for a top dog. So these are a bunch of mid-range guys we're going to fire off and then kind of fix up the card a little bit later once we get some weather, some clarity.
I got room. I got room for another better too.
Same. So I think we're going to do that, especially with the weather being maybe that Friday weather comes a little more dodgy after Saturday and Sunday move towards us. We'll see. But so far, Seb Striker, 45-1. Great course history here. Kenny, he was your boy last week. I'm not perplexed about what happened at Augusta. Shit happens. It's a major. It is what it is. We're probably getting a 45-1 because of how bad he played at Augusta. He should have been probably, 30-ish, maybe how well he was playing heading into this week and with the course history. So we're getting a nice number for him. JT Poston, message in the bottle, Harbour Town. This, my man, is a dude that's going to win at this golf course at some point in his life. When JT Poston shows up to golf courses he plays well at them. Now, it's very inconsistent, but when he plays well here, he plays very well. And 75-1 is a very fair number if you ask me. So we'll be going with the Postman. Next up's Akshay Bhatia, 70-1. Same situation. All over the place. The talent is immense. He's only played here, I think, twice. The second time he played here, he played ridiculously better and hit his irons like a goddamn beast. So I think he's going to be very, very fun to watch this week. This course kind of suits his game a bit more than a big, overpowering venue. You know, he can kind of thread the needle through some of these holes. He's more of an accuracy guy than a distance boomer, and the iron play is fantastic, and we'll see what the short game gets up to. Another dude that's played some very, very good golf at the Players, at the Valero. This week, Bud Colley, 80-1. I mean, I understand it's Bud Colley, but this dude has been balling. You don't just finish sixth at the Players. You know, you got to play some good golf, and we all thought that was going to kind of fade away at the Valero. No, top 5 for Bud Colley at the Valero. And then another guy here, Kenny, for you, your Ryan Gerard bet from the Valero. How much Valero comp do you think Harbour Town's got? You know, I think the course setup is not as tree-lined, so to speak, but you can't miss it in the wrong places at Valero either. You know, if you're in the trees, you're screwed. So keeping it towards the middle of the fairway, shorter golf course, similar iron ranges. I don't mind that as a comp, and Gerard obviously played very nicely for you last time he was out there. Then I'll go back to the same guy, Ryo Hitsutsuni, 220-1. He's one of these ball striking beasts. He just cannot make a 6-footer to save his life. At 220-1, that's a price of admission I'm willing to pay. He's also been flirting inside the Valspar. And that's another great comp course as well. The Valspar, the Valero. Those are two similar length venues, similar strategic type situations, toughish. Maybe the wind blows a little bit here. Ryo Hitsutsuni. And then, this is a complete wild one, Kenny, but 600-1, Brian Campbell. The Beast Slayer, Mr. Campbell, made his cut at the Masters. I would have told you this. No way that short-hitting son of a gun makes the cut around Augusta in his debut. Not only did he make the cut, he finished, I think, inside the top 30. In your debut appearance around a big-ass golf course like that, you got to imagine that this course fits him a lot better. He's a great, mid to long iron player, and he's accurate off the tee, obviously, because he's got no distance. And he's probably playing with the most confidence he's ever had in his golf career after making the cut at Augusta. 600-1, I'll be looking at some placement markets for him as well in the triple digits, 1,000 plus 1,000 for a top 20 or something like that for Brian Campbell. I think he's going to be a sneaky option. So we'll see what else I put forward. I'll be popping that on my Back Nine Bets, 7 Eastern, live on Mayo Media Network on Tuesday nights. I'll see you guys there for all my bets. As always, we'll do some Q&A as well, DFS deep dives, all of that stuff for y'all. Kenny, let's get to some blood, sweat, and DFS tears for this week's RBC Heritage at Harbour Town. Where are we going top of the board?
You look at the 10K range, in my opinion, first off, let's go over my cash game cornerstone. It's going to be Xander, 10,400. That's too cheap. 10,400. Too cheap. Upside is there. We're going to go ahead and make Xander the first cash game cornerstone. It's pretty simple. Scotty, I think even at 13-1, they're really juicing up his price here without Rory. It makes it difficult to play him, but I still think he's going to be over 20% owned. I have no problem if you want to play Scotty Scheffler. The two guys that sort of pique my interest here are Oberg and Justin Thomas. Now, I think both of them will be the two of the lowest owned in the 10K range. I think it might be smart to just wait till ownership comes out and pick the lowest guy here because, I mean, these guys are all beasts. They can all play well. I like Justin Thomas, like I said, a place where we can get a little bit more birdies, and you don't see insane, crazy doubles and triples here because most people aren't using driver, right? Most people aren't using driver. They're not missing as wild. And I like, he has a couple of runner-ups in his last 5 or 6 events played. A win is close. I like his price at $10,200. Oberg, I think, might get sort of, locked out with Scotty above him and Morikawa below him. Morikawa is going to be popular. The guy just finishes top 10 religiously. Just doesn't win. So I think he'll still be popular. Kawa will, because honestly, when you look at it, this course should fit what Morikawa does, especially with how good his short game has been here recently in the last 6 months. Personally, I would take Oberg over Morikawa because, first off, ownership, I think, is going to be the biggest issue. Secondly, I think Oberg is just more of a killer than Morikawa is. But we shall see how that plays out, and we should see how that plays out. Who do you like?
I think Patrick Cantley at $10,000 is a very fair price for someone that's got this incredible course history. Definitely a cash game cornerstone type play. Monitor the ownership because I think we got potential there to be over-owned. I know Kenny's not a fan. I'm on the guy that he was on last week. So don't like the course history yet, Kenny. It's a course history course. He just gets it around you, man.
It's just too much ownership, I think it's going to be at that price. A guy who's going to be a guy that's going to be that. And then there's too many question marks. If he's like 18, 20% owned, there's no way.
Okay, fair. But I said I like him as a cash game type play. If you are going with him, you got to obviously get very, very different. He does provide you with relative safety given his history at a golf course like this. So I don't mind him at all. Justin Thomas, I will be looking to play in showdown. He's a showdown guy for me right now. Just does not give you enough consistency round by round. He could easily shoot himself out of the tournament at any given moment. The next round after that, though, he can bounce back like crazy, and then you're only going to get a top 20 from that. But in showdown, you can win a slate because of JT's ridiculous variance. So, Xander, Kenny, I like him. What is I guess you're on him this week. So you're trying to be early on his short game returning, right? You're not waiting to see, okay, I guess when you do see the short game return, he's probably going to land up almost winning the damn thing. It'll be too late, right? So
he gained strokes at the Masters. It's good enough for me.
Yeah, just a little bit, around the greens, but yeah, he's very tempting. Like when is it going to start clicking together? Because by the time the PGA Championship rolls, you'd imagine he's ready to rock and roll. Like,
I mean, I think it's already clicking together. I mean, like he's coming into the event. What? Let's look at his with a 12th and 8th. Next stop win.
Yeah, sure. I think so. Again, showed a bit of nerves. I think when he first showed up after the injury and maybe finding himself at the top of the leaderboard could be something he has to get over again before he does win one. I don't know. Kenny, maybe he wins this week. We'll see. But I fancy Cantley. And then Scotty. Geez, dude. At 13-1, I'll take a gamble on there. I think people are going to be really pushed ownership-wise there at 13,000 with no 5K range. So we'll see what he can do. In the nines, Corey Connors, top 10 at the Masters, entering the week. Shane Lowry. Justin Rose and Shane Lowry showed up at the Masters in the exact same position. Justin Rose made $2.1 million more than Shane Lowry did after the final round. They were going in at the same exact rate. Do you think Shane Lowry, after Rory's W, shows up at a golf course he's played at very well in the past? Does he show up and just win it? Like,
no,
that Rory's one. Like he's got like this Irish goodbye type situation going on.
Top 5, top 10, sure. I mean, the guy's played well here in the past. I got no problem with that. DFS wise, I don't see a problem with him. I sort of like him. I don't think he's going to win. And that's sort of an issue. But the thing is, like the people around him, a Henley, a Fleetwood, a Spieth. You think those guys are going to win? Probably not. Right. Henley, so I don't mind Lowry at all. My second cash game cornerstone is going to be Connors at $9,800 with 4 top 10s in his last 5 events. I think he's finished as high as 4th here in the past. Iron game is fine. The guy is playing exceptional golf. I'll go ahead and ride the heater with Corey Connors as my second cash game cornerstone. I like the guys on the bottom, really. I like Hovland, and I like Jason Day. I like Jason Day. He showed a little bit at the Masters. He's had a couple of really strong finishes in his last 5 or 6 events. It seems like the game is coming back. It seems like he's 100% healthy. I think at this point in time, I would not be surprised with a high finish for him at low ownership, which is something I'm hoping to get with Jason Day this week.
That's your cash game. Who's your cash game in this range?
Connors.
Beautiful. I forgot to click the buttons. That's why we need a producer. You know what I'm saying? But we are back to that. I love Shane Lowry, love Henley, and we'll see you on Spieth. You know, you don't ride that roller coaster with everybody. Got to ride it on your own.
Spieth, 2 wins in the last 8 years.
At this course.
8 years.
Oh, like overall?
Yeah, he has 2 wins in the last 8 years. Corey
Connors, 2 wins on his PGA Tour career. Tommy Fleetwood, 0 wins. Jason Day.
Exactly.
Like this entire range is just outside of Hovland, who, you know, is a perennial winner on the tour. But if you get into the 8K range, Kenny, there's a little bit more win equity here. You know, we've got multiple winners and multiple playoff losers in this range. Sepp Straka starting at $8,800. Justin Rose at 8K flat at the bottom. Are you eating a burger at RBC Heritage?
Third cash game cornerstone, Daniel Berger. We already talked about him. So Berger's going to be the third cash game cornerstone. I like Straka just like you. I think it's a good bounce back situation for him on a course that he's played well before in the past. And then I could go with Bobby Mack. Again, another flop lag type deal with a good solid short game who, you know, prior to the Masters is coming in on a really strong run. You know, maybe people overlook him.
Kenny, what do you think about Minwoo Lee? Players type comp. Plays amazing, hitting that 2-iron around a golf course like this is going to work in perfect scenario. Good short game, good putting. Figure out the irons. You know, it seemed like he figured out what he needed to there at the Texas Children's. Maybe there's a bit more high value shots at this golf course that he's not so comfortable with, but the Players is that exact same type situation too. So he's absolutely capable of doing that. Coming off a win, then not playing the greatest golf at Augusta. I think he's looking to probably bounce back a little bit. Justin Rose, I think I'm out on. I think we see him. Do you think he comes out here, Kenny, with just like, I'm going to win this tournament, or is he just kind of, I'm just going to play after?
I mean, honestly, like what?
Could I be a bit dejected?
Does he have the motivation? Maybe. But I mean, like, it seems like he's majors a bust.
Yeah. Granted, Pebble, API, you know, like the 2 signature events he's played in so far, he's played quite nicely. So depending on some ownership, we'll take a peek at Rosie. And then Maverick McNeely is someone it's just everything from him right now. Amazing and shit. It's just all in the same boat. Just we're not sure what we're going to get from him. Another ownership dependent play for him. I'm with you on Bobby Mack and Sepp Straka going there. Aaron Rye in this field is 40-1. And I just find that fascinating. Like,
yeah, I can't do that number, but he's sort of tempting. I mean, he looked really good the first couple of days. He looked pretty good the first day. He was almost first round leader before he blew it on 17 and 18, which a lot of people did at Augusta. You know, a guy who hits every single one of the fairways out there, one of the most accurate people. I sort of like that play at $7,900. If we keep going down, it could be, Poston's going to be popular, but I think, you know, Rye can, I like Rye.
As half Poston's on, you know, so like he'll be more popular than Poston, I would imagine.
You think Rye would be?
Yeah, just based off the betting market. You know, like he's half Poston's odds. Like they're the same price. So why would someone that's got double the chance of winning this tournament not be clicked more?
I just figure Poston has better course history. He's played well here in the past. And that's normally what people line up to. So I figured that I could be wrong. I'm horrible on ownership. So, but other guys, I like Brian Harmon a lot. Seems like a Brian Harmon type course, right? You know, plot his way through. He got that victory a couple weeks ago. He's coming in hot. So I like Brian Harmon at that price at $7,600. I like your Bud Colley take, $7,500. I would be a little weary if we see him with higher ownership. And yes, I'm smoking again after this weekend. I started smoking like heavily again because it was just too much fucking stress going after.
You're going to taper back down again. Okay.
So back to smoking the cigarettes for now, but we'll see how long that goes. When we get a little bit lower, Hoagie seems like a guy who's had 3 straight top 15s and top 10, another Pete Dye course a couple of weeks ago. So I do like Hoagie down here.
Don't mind him. Benny On, starting to move in the right direction, starting to see some good stuff. He got on a complete heater at Augusta at one point. I think he had like 4 or 5 birdies in a row. It was incredible. Like, he was cooking. So at these club down courses, he hits that 1-iron, baby. Give me some of that shot tracer, and I will really enjoy that. So I fancy him. I like Tom Hoagie with you there, Kenny. And then Willie Z. Love him when it's at a golf course that's strategic, where you got to plot your way around. He's a very good tactician around golf courses. And I think he's definitely someone I'll be looking to get involved with. And then Tom Hoagie, like you mentioned, Akshay Bhatia, another guy I've already spoken about this week at $7,700. So those are a couple names in the 7s. And then we scoot on down to a bigger 6K ranger that starts with Glover, Jaeger, and Billy Horschel, and ends with Nick Dunlap, who has now lost 30 strokes off the tee in his last 8 rounds of golf.
Yeah, but what he did on Friday was pretty amazing. Shooting 19 strokes better after shooting 90.
And losing 4 strokes off the tee that day. He shot under par around Augusta, losing 4 strokes off the tee.
I think a lot of that came on those last couple of holes where he did shoot the bed basically like everybody else. But yeah, it's not like I'm going to play him. But in the 6K range, my final cash game cornerstone and my hustler player of the week, they are combined this week. It's going to be Eric Cole. At $6,400. This leaves me enough room in cash to go up to Xander and Connors, or Xander and Cantley, or Xander and somebody else up top, and get a couple of studs, and still have Berger in there as well. Yeah. So I do like Eric Cole in cash, and I like him as the hustle play of the week because I don't expect him to be more than 5 or 6% owned. No one really normally is in the 6K range. I'm taking a little bit easy route this week when it comes to the ownership, where I know it's going to be low for Eric Cole. If you look at his numbers for the last few times, he gained strokes at his short game in 9 of his last 10 events. 3 straight positive strokes gained approach weeks in a row. Only the second time in the last year. Actually, it's the first time in the last year that he has done that. Weaknesses off the tee, but he's going to leave driver in the bag. So I really do like Eric Cole down here with 3 really solid finishes coming into this event. His price is cheap. It really makes it easier to go ahead and roster a lot of the other big name guys in the field. So that is my cash game cornerstone and my hustler play of the week. It's going to be Eric Cole. My cash game cornerstones overall this week are going to be Xander Schauffele at $10,400, Corey Connors at $9,800, Daniel Berger at $8,300, and Eric Cole at $6,400. Other guys I do like in this range, Ryan Gerard makes a lot of sense. And coming in hot, iron game is strong. Putter has been good, been really good from like 175 to 200. Gary Woodland is a guy that I'll play down here at 6,300 just for a little bit of upside. We saw him runner up a few weeks ago. It's saying, he got that back into his mind frame, actually competing at contending at an event. The first time he's really done so since his brain surgery. Hopefully he can use that to try and, get us a little bit of a boost here down in the low 6K range. Hisatune is another guy that I like that you've talked about. Who do you like in the 6K range?
Yeah, I think I'll go from the bottom up. If you want to just play a guy that was playing very well at the Masters and then made a 9 randomly after chipping his ball into the creek, after hitting it in the creek already, Chris Kirk, $6,100. I love his ropey draw, doesn't hit a long way, keep it in play, take care of business from there on out. $6,100. I feel like Kirk's got a bust out round in him. Austin Eckroat, as well as a high GPP leverage play. You never know what he's going to get up to. He's basically an American Pavan, where you just play him little bits every week, and just when he spikes, he spikes. So I think he's got a great potential to do that. Think about the Cognizant Classic, a kind of a positional venue that you got to knock your way around. Austin Eckroat dominated that golf course 2 years ago, so he's not bad at all. Ryo Hitsune, my guy, Gary Woodland as well. And then Ryan Gerard, like you mentioned. Glover is someone that I'm looking to get into, yeah. $6,900 bucks for Lucas Glover. same situation. He gets dinged a lot at golf courses that you got to pound it out there. $6,900, you're going to be finding Glover hitting drive on these holes anyway because he hits it so damn straight and not that far. So he's barely taking driver out of his hands for the most part. A very good tactician around this golf course as well. I think that's going to be it for me in this range, Kenny. I wanted to say Max Homa, but I'm not. I think he's going to be way too popular given his recent success at the Masters, and I still need to see a little bit more from him. Maybe Andrew Novak is another guy you just play every week like we saw at the Valero where he just showed up. So big event. Who the heck knows what's going to happen, but we will see. All right, my brother. One and done's. Will Zalatoris sculled a bunker shot out of the freaking 15th ravine there, 13th ravine, and that was it for him. I don't know what to do in one and done. Guide me, please.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I mean, maybe for the Euro, I might go Shane Lowry. For the Cider Cup, I'm not sure. It's tough because the picks for the Europeans are not, or the non-Americans aren't that strong this week. So I'm not really sure where I'm going with that.
Step?
I don't know. I haven't decided yet on where I'm going this week. It's going to take me until Wednesday to figure this out. So I'm gonna pass on this one because I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
I was thinking Berger, but I've already used Berger. I might use Berger in the Mayo Cup. We'll see.
Okay. Hey, you do what you got to do. I'm thinking I might be leaning Straka or McIntyre down at the bottom there. That's going to be some weird options. Maybe, we'll see. Again, not that thrilled about one and done right now. So I'm really struggling to kind of get across the hump. But folks, we appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for tuning in to the Fantasy Golf Degenerate podcast presented by ProphetX. We appreciate them providing us with the wonderful backing that they do for the show. Catch me on Back 9 Bets, 7 Eastern, Tuesday nights. I'll be going over all my bets. I'll be going over deep dives of DFS guys, answering all your questions, having a good time over there. As always, if you are in the mood, use code FGD50. Get all the tools that I've showed you on the screen today at the Model Maniac Patreon as well. Kenny, get us the hell out of here.
You can find me on X at KendoVT. I'll have my final card on there. Any ProphetX plays, any other plays, live ads that I'll have throughout the weekends. And make sure your notifications are on because I'll just usually pull them out on Fridays and Saturdays. So make sure you just check me out on X at KendoVT. The week after, one of the best Masters ever. A little bit of a letdown, but maybe not. We'll see. It could be some great golf. We'll see how it goes. Let's win some motherfucking money. Degen Nation.
I've been getting dirty money, Jordan.